You mentioned social housing. I want to bring that up. Richter Street has just opened in the former Tree Brewing facility. We're hearing a lot of concerns from local businesses. I'm sure you've heard those same concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that we've been very responsive to those concerns. Our Director of Community Safety, Darren Call, has been very hands-on in helping come up with solutions for the neighborhood. So you're starting to see increased security, increased RCMP patrols, a number of different things that have been implemented to help alleviate some of the concerns raised by the area business owners. And so I think that there's a lot of good work that's happened, particularly in the last couple of weeks, to help mitigate that. So we'll continue to liaise with them and make sure that they are able to operate their businesses the way they always have, without fear of disruption or criminal activity. But I think at the end of the day, though, everybody in our community recognizes that we need these types of shelters and facilities to keep people off the streets. When you compare, this time last year, there were a number of people who were homeless scattered throughout our downtown, and I think the difference is very noticeable in terms of people have been housed, and I think that it's not as prevalent, particularly in our high traffic areas downtown and elsewhere. So I'd say that there is a difference. Housing is making a difference, but is it perfect? No. And regardless of where we end up housing people, there will always be those who have concerns about it or who aren't happy with the location. But at the end of the day, it is making a positive difference in our community. But we also know too that the temporary nature of this type of housing is not the long-term solution. The people living in this temporary Richter shelter deserve to be housed in permanent housing in a facility or a housing project that has the appropriate supports that they need in order to deal with whatever issue they may have. So we continue again to advocate for those projects and the appropriate supports so that we can get people off the streets long term, and hopefully they can better their lives as a result.
The narrative we hear from from businesses and residents around temporary shelters is the same. Crime goes up, we're concerned, this is what's happening. Why does it take those comments for us to eventually hear security has been stepped up, more RCMP patrols? Shouldn't that be right off the bat?
Well, we try to, certainly, but depending on the mix of residents, you don't entirely know what those needs are going to be. So it's not like when we open those that they come with nothing. They do come with various measures of security, RCMP patrols, and various other things. But until it's up and running and we see how what the resident mix is, who the people are that are staying there, and their behaviors or pattern of behavior, then we adjust. So it's not perfect, but at the end of the day, we're doing the best that we can with the resources that we have or are being provided. But I will say this too: it is getting better. I think that when anecdotally, I had relatives who lived near the Daily Courier site, and so I was there very often and saw very little issues. And I think the same can be said for some of the newer supportive housing projects that we have implemented in our community, where there was a lot of fear, a lot of anger, and we haven't heard any complaints. So I think for the most part, the integration of shelters and supportive housing has gone relatively well. Has it been perfect? No. But I would say overall, when you look at the number of people being housed and the number of projects that have been open, I would say the integration has gone fairly well, and we've learned a lot since the very first shelter or supportive housing project that we've had in our community to now. A lot of lessons learned, and in fact, some of the things that we do to integrate those facilities into our community are being copied by other municipalities.